Hello and welcome to our Culture Magazine here on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober and today we have a very interesting show for you. A new documentary looks at Israel's candid camera craze of the 1980s. Also, is Bollywood poised to take over world cinema? And Dave Attell's Rowdy comedy showcase. But first, some cultural headlines. Craig Ferguson, host of the Late Late Show at CBS, announced on Monday that he would be leaving the show this December.
I will be stepping down as the host of this show. Thanks, everybody. That was quite convincing. I'll be stepping down at the end of this year in December, and then I'll go and do something else. Probably, I'm thinking carpentry.
Ferguson's surprising announcement comes on the heels of David Letterman's recent retirement. And even though Ferguson says he made his decision before Letterman, many in the press are speculating that the comedian is quitting because he has been passed over in favor of Stephen Colbert, who will be taking over Letterman's Late Show starting next year. Ferguson has been hosting the Late Late Show for almost a decade, and the program has a reputation of being unpredictable, unconventional, and a little bit crazy. A replacement for Ferguson is expected to be announced in the next few weeks. Meanwhile, in China, audiences are missing their favorite American shows. A roster of shows from the United States, including The Big Bang Theory, The Good Wife, and NCIS, disappeared on Saturday from popular Chinese streaming websites after Chinese government regulators ordered their removal. Up until the disappearance of the shows, the websites were free to negotiate broadcasting deals with U.S. content providers without interference. It is still unclear why these particular shows have been targeted by the Chinese government, but it might be because of their popularity. Since being made available in 2009, episodes of The Big Bang Theory have been viewed 1.3 billion times, as many views as there are people in China. The removal of the popular shows caused the stocks of the Chinese websites to immediately plummet. Now, in recent years, the film industry has been moving to digital formats, and restoration efforts are underway to preserve older films. The American Genre Film Archive, formed by the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema Group, aims to preserve some lesser-known films whose physical prints are in danger of disintegrating. Now, the AGFA has received a boost. Distinguished filmmakers P.T. Anderson and Nicholas Winding Refn has joined the archive's advisory board. Winding Refn said in a statement, "By any means necessary, we need to watch movies on film because that's why God created cinema." Makes perfect sense. The AGFA currently has an Indiegogo campaign trying to raise $15,000 in order to preserve the 1975 film The Astrologer. Now, I-24 News' very own Gabi Tartakovsky, who graces the show with his presence from time to time, is here this time to talk about a project he co-wrote, the new documentary No Shame, about candid camera films which were all the rage in 1980s Israel. Hello, Gabi, welcome back.
Hi, Oded.
Different hat, but it's still
Yes, no jacket.
No jacket. That's the big difference.
Key difference, yeah.
All right, tell us about the film.
Well, the film chronicles one of the most peculiar trends in Israeli entertainment, and that's the candid camera craze, which spawned from the late 70s up until the early 90s. There's been nothing like it. Of course,
I remember it well.
Of course, every Israeli who grew up during the 80s remembers these films. Now, obviously, candid camera wasn't invented in Israel. It was originally initiated in the States. It took off in South Africa.
Okay.
And after it exploded in South Africa, the Israelis caught on and never looked back.
Okay, so what was special in Israel? The level of success or the amount of films? What?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're talking about more than a dozen films produced over the course of 15 years. In 1989, there were 4 candid camera films
In one
summer
Wow.
in Israel. This is nothing that you would expect to see even on television, although the candid camera culture also came into television. Still, the feature films were the main focus.
Right. Why do you think it had such a big success in Israel?
I think candid camera tapped in on something very valuable to the Israeli identity, and that's a couple of things actually. First of all, as Israelis, we are being brought up to be pranksters, not to take ourselves too seriously, and we always admire those who can outsmart others. Having said that, there's also a very key notion that none of us as Israelis wish to be played like a fool.
Right.
We don't want to be the ultimate sucker, and I think the candid camera films provide a very candid look that Israelis can be made fools of, and there's always
it's still
someone
okay.
It's still okay. It's all in good spirit, and there's always someone who can outsmart you.
Right. Now, one of the major figures in the candid camera film was Yehuda Barkan, who is interviewing for your film. But since he made those films, he also became religious. How comfortable was he that we see him now? How comfortable was he talking about this?
He was actually very comfortable. I mean, he takes great pride in his career. Before the candid camera films, he was already a huge star in Israel during the 70s, and he made that transformation throughout the 80s with candid camera films and other films he directed and acted in. Of course, these films are problematic. They are sexist. Some might say downright exploitive, but he addresses it in a very clear fashion. He talks about the sex in the films as a business decision,
Right.
and he really understands the mentality of the Israeli audience,
Right.
and he's proud to serve such a part in Israeli entertainment history.
Yeah. Last question, any funny anecdotes you came across while working on the film?
Well, there are many. I think the thing that most surprised me was an entire film, actually. It was produced in 1987. It was called See You at the Beach. And it takes all the candid camera jokes are during the summertime in Israel on the beach. And to test the Israeli nerves during the hot summers of July and August, I mean, that's a suicide
very brave
mission.
decision.
Very brave. And that film, because of its unique concept, is really, really unforgettable.
That sounds like it. Looking forward to watching your film, Gabi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, Tampa, Florida hosted the annual International Indian Film Awards last weekend. Some major Hollywood stars came to welcome their Indian counterparts, and the films awarded proved Bollywood big budget productions might soon rival American hits in the box office. Here's a report by Daniel Campos.
The annual International Indian Film Awards took place again this April in Tampa, Florida. The awards aim to increase awareness of Indian cinema and culture.
I hope that it helps. I think in a place like Florida, the buzz that's here at the moment is, shows that people even who are not Indian are, curious to know about us. Like today, my makeup artist and the person who did my hair, they were taking down the names of my films. They're going to go watch them. So that's nice. It's nice to know.
Representatives of the Indian American community were also proud to attend and celebrate the growing success of Indian cinema in the United States.
It is very surreal to be here. I can't even really describe the emotions. I grew up watching so many of these stars, and to be here as Miss America representing the Indian American community, it's quite an honor. So looking forward to a great weekend.
John Travolta and Kevin Spacey were among the famous Hollywood actors who attended the event. Spacey also took the opportunity to express his positive views about the event and about Bollywood.
I'm having the time of my life, and I'm incredibly fortunate to be able to have such a great job, a wonderful character to play with sort of remarkable writers and other cast members. And I also think that what's great about a thing like tonight is bringing our cultures together, seeing that more and more people in the United States are becoming aware of Bollywood films.
Indian cinema is also known for its passionate love stories with exotic music and colorful dances. But in the past, Indian cinema was also known for pioneering superhero stories. Since these elements are embedded in the culture of Hinduism, today they are re-emerging these roles in Bollywood superhero films, such as Krish 3, which was nominated for the Best Picture Award and has also won awards as Best Special Effects. Loom out Hollywood. As India moves closer to Western cinema, Bollywood might soon become a great competitor for box office gold.
Impressive stuff. In just a moment, we'll hear about comedian Dave Attell's new show, but first, some cultural highlights from around the world.
Mana Contemporary, in collaboration with Barcelona gallery Sala Gaspar, presents the famous sketches of Pablo Picasso from the illustrated 18th century book La Tauromaquia. Tauromaquia, or The Art of Bullfighting by José Delgado, the rare exhibition features 26 of Picasso's La Tauromaquia etchings and includes an original ink drawing never before seen in public that Picasso dedicated to Miguel Gaspar on the cover of the book. Pablo Picasso La Tauromaquia is on view until August the 1st. The famous Orient Express arrives in Paris, not far from the Gare d'Austerlitz station. The train carts arrived at the Arab World Institute. Orient Express is a name that has been associated with both stylish adventures and the golden age of travel for almost a half a century. The museum will trace the history of this line, which once connected Istanbul to destinations including Cairo, Damascus, and Baghdad. All aboard the exhibition is on view at the Arab World Institute until August 31st. The epic opera of Puccini, La Bohème, will be performed in Tel Aviv until May 10th. It will be conducted by Daniel Oren and directed by the well-established Italian director Stefano Massonis. The story is considered one of the ultimate, most touching love stories in opera. Its dramatic ending made it one of the most popular stories of the 20th century. The opera will be sung in Italian and will be taking place at the Israeli Opera in Tel Aviv.
And now, Amit Kling is here to bring some laughter into our lives. Amit.
Yeah.
Let's
Here,
see.
I'm laughing. How are you with that? Okay. So, veteran comedian Dave Attell is having a good year. He just finished off his new special. It's called Road Work. But what he's really got up his sleeve is his new Comedy Central series. It's called The Comedy Underground. He's hosting it. It's a comedian showcase.
Okay.
And
Looks authentic. I can,
yeah,
that's
you
the
see,
first thing
now
that
you
I
see
can
you
tell.
see this the shaky camera work. It's because that much like in the road work, some of it is filmed by audience members who he gives cameras, like that the Beastie Boys pioneered that a few years ago with a movie. And but the point is about it that he's stressed in many interviews that he wants to bring the rowdy, the dirty comedy back, which was kind of swept aside by the more whimsical, experimental, alternative guys.
You can say it.
The observational comics, yeah, the Seinfelds, and even more like the Patton Oswalts and all the guys who followed him like a few years later.
Right.
But Dave Attell wants to bring it back to the bars and really.
He sees himself as going in the footsteps of George Carlin.
Sort of. He's much less political, much less satirical, but yeah, he's very provocative. Now, he does gather all the comedians in that vein. He had Amy Schumer, Ari Shafir, all great. Next episode is having Ari Lang. So yeah, Comedy Underground.
And at Comedy Central though, that's kind of an odd.
And they're broadcasting it after midnight, they can broadcast it uncensored, which is I think a first for Comedy Central because you always see like the half hour. All their specials.
It is a little clean.
It's
Comedy
a little,
Central
it's
is kind of clean. I would
bleak,
imagine.
and the big theater is very lit. This is dark. This is grimy. This is kind of lo-fi.
Maybe something that on usually we'd see on HBO and
yes,
the
but
likes
also at
now.
the same time, I think it kind of goes to people who are used to seeing comedy shot by audience members on YouTube.
I see.
It also it's very on that degree.
That's an interesting take on it. What else do you have quickly?
Well, there's a new interesting trend that comedians are releasing albums on vinyl now, which is interesting. Rory Scovel's, this is his album. Mark Maron is going to release his Netflix album, Thinky Pain. This is Revenge for the Holocaust, which is a great name by Ari Shafir.
Why? It's
Why?
not for the sound.
Exactly. It's not for the sound. So it's really just to, I think, give... It's merchandise.
Ah, I see. So there's something to buy and there's something to put on your shelf.
They give us so much free stuff, Twitter, podcast, that this is, you know, if you don't have a player, just PayPal them $5.
Thanks, Amit.
Thank you.
That's it for our show today. We end with the latest Simpsons couch gag directed by independent Polish animator Michal Sosza, and takes us deep into Homer Simpson, literally. Check it out.